and welcome to another episode of Some of Our Parts, a podcast where two friends talk about the movies that add up to make us who we are. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Jim. Lindsay, what did you pick for us this week?
I picked this movie for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, it was impactful on me, and we'll get into that. But two, I felt it was timely. One, because one of the stars recently passed away. Val Kilmer is the voice of the lead character in this movie. It's an animated movie. And also, it relates to Passover, which has just happened at the time of this recording. So I picked The Prince of Egypt from 1998.
Oh, okay. All right. So animated and yeah, you're a timely story. So
Yeah.
now I have to ask, so it came out in 1998. When did you see the movie?
I'm pretty sure I saw it in the movie theater.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
and you recall, okay.
Because then I got the soundtrack. I got the
Mm-hmm.
CD of the soundtrack.
Cool.
Children, CDs are discs that had music on them. And I also got a book that went with it, which I later learned when I got home and opened the book. It was just the book of Exodus, but with pictures in it. It was just like a reprinting of like the Bible book Exodus, but like with pictures from the movie.
So wait a minute. So it wasn't like the story because the story in the movie, it wasn't didn't follow along that sort of abridged version. It was the
Yeah.
actual, like the King James version of Exodus.
Yes.
And you were supposed to read this as how old were you? Like 5 years
8.
old? Yeah, okay, 8 years old.
Yeah, but it was like because it looked like it was like a
And the
fun book
Lord
that went with the
said
movie.
unto Moses,
Yes.
go before Pharaoh and
Tell him, let my people go. Yeah, I
yeah,
was like, what? It had like the
yeah,
verse and chapter numbers and everything. I was
no
like,
kidding.
oh, I didn't know this
Oh.
is what I was
Getting in.
getting.
Do you still have the book?
I don't think so. No.
Might be a
That was a
collector's
long time
item.
ago.
I know, I'm just
I
saying.
mean, everybody has a Bible.
I know, but this was the package deal from, the studio, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
just
I mean, I
saying.
have a Bible, so I have the text.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I will also just say fair warning, like this movie covers many of the events of Exodus. It does not, as Jim said, follow like the Bible story exactly. We'll talk about that. But I'm going to talk about this movie in our normal irreverent fashion. So like don't take it personally if it sounds sacrilegious.
Not a word.
We're talking about an animated film that also happens to be about a story that's in the Bible or the Torah or whatever uh, your book is. So,
Um,
but yeah, I like really it. I enjoyed it at the time. It has a really good voice cast, and the song. It's a musical. The songs are good, and then especially they had like contemporary artists doing their versions of the songs, the peak of which is When You Believe, which is a song like towards the end. In the movie, it's sung by like the cast, but Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey did it, which is like, especially, at the time, like two of the biggest like VH1 Divas Live situation, right? Them doing When You Believe. But there's other artists too, like Amy Grant did a song. She did River Lullaby, so she did like a song about sending Moses down the river. Casey and JoJo, like a big R&B duo, did Through Heaven's Eyes, which is a song that's sung by the character Jethro in the movie. So like Boys to Men did one, like so a bunch of contemporary artists also did the songs, which I
oh,
think it
okay.
happens with lots of animated movies. I think like in a lot of Disney movies, they'll have like the movie version and then they have like the like Christina Aguilera version and
Right.
stuff. So they did that with this, and like those are all. I mean, I guess I wasn't like jazzed on Amy Grant, but like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. Sorry, I was 8. Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Casey and JoJo, Boys to Men, like that was great. Like I owned this CD, and listened to it. I might still have it, honestly.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Okay.
but that was something that stood out to me too. And I think it's just the animation is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And this was actually one of the first DreamWorks animated films. So it kind of started up until then, it was pretty much like Disney, right? So
Yeah,
this
pretty,
sort
yeah.
of, it was Disney, and then there were like Don Bluth movies like A Troll in Central Park and We're Back, which are both movies I liked too, and like Thumbelina. They were all kind of darker, but
Yeah.
this was one of the first DreamWorks pictures, which like now I think is sort of up there with Disney in terms of animated films, right?
Oh,
Like they
yeah.
made Shrek and like How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda and like all of these other big
Mm-hmm.
animated franchises at this point. So it's interesting to see that this was one of their first efforts, and I think still like a really good one.
I agree because
Looks beautiful.
I'd never seen it before. So yeah, when I saw it, yeah, at first I thought it was a Disney thing because
Mhm.
it just sort of reminded me of that type of animation and then that detail in a lot of the background scenes and so on and so forth. There's because some of the other features that the producers or people that made those things, I don't think were as the main characters are done very well, but then the background's just sort of blurry and stuff, or it's not very well you know fleshed out, so to speak, or at least not to me. So
Yeah, yeah. And so they actually, a lot of these people had been recruited from Disney because
Steve,
Jeffrey Katzenberg, who used to be, he started DreamWorks, right? He used to be the chairman at Walt Disney Studios.
mm,
And then when the president of the studios died, he thought that he was going to be elevated to president of Disney Studios. But Michael Eisner, who was the CEO at the time, was like, "No, you're actually resigning. You're leaving." So Jeffrey Katzenberg went and he started DreamWorks with Steven Spielberg and David Geffen. So
well,
we don't have to we
if
don't
you're
have to
gonna
cry for
go,
him.
that's right. If you're gonna go big, right? So
Exactly. And he when he was at Disney, he had been one of the things that fell kind of under him in the org chart was animation. So he pulled a lot from those people because this is a project he'd been wanting to do. Like he'd been wanting to do a film adaptation about the life of Moses. And he says apparently that in their first meeting, him, Spielberg, Geffen, Spielberg said, like, you should do like an animated Ten Commandments. So, and here we
well,
have this. Obviously, it's different than Ten Commandments. It's focusing just on one. Ten Commandments is also it's long.
oh, it's very long. Yeah, I mean,
This movie is an hour and a half, so you
yeah,
can't cover
I
all that ground.
yeah, I think in the movie hour and a half, I think we get to maybe Moses building a city. So I'm just
Right, right.
you
We
know
see him. He gets the Ten Commandments. We don't even. It's not. We don't even get the whole burning bush part of the Ten Commandments. We just see him come down at the end with them in his hand. But I think what I like about this movie though is also you get a little bit of like Moses as a person. Because
hmm
I think if you read the story in the Bible, I think if you watch Ten Commandments, it's a little bit more of like an epic, right? This is a
Oh, very much
character,
so.
this is a
Yeah,
thing happening. And I think in this one, you get a little bit of like Moses as a person, because like obviously he is, when it comes to like the plagues and stuff like that, like he is commanded by God to do these things. He's doing it in service of saving his people, but it you can also see that like it pains him to do things that harm other people,
sure.
including like his sort of surrogate brother, Ramses, which I appreciated like watching it now. I don't know that when I was 8 I picked up on that, but like watching it again now, I appreciate the like humanity part of it because I think that like whatever, if you like believe things to be true, like even the idea of like a mission put forth to you by God, it is still like hard, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I agree.
Like
Yeah,
that's a big thing to have to carry,
right.
especially if you have to like kill a bunch of Egyptian children, like direct the killing of a bunch of little Egyptian children, which is what happened to your people. At the
Yeah,
beginning.
at the beginning, that's that. Yeah, or the okay, we're gonna send you, and you're gonna liberate your people, but you're talking about the entire,
Mm,
nation of Israel. It's not just like a few. Okay, we're gonna liberate a couple of hundred people, or even a couple of thousand people. We're talking about, the whole deal. So a
yeah,
very daunting task, to say the least.
right. And in this movie, he could just go back to being the Prince of Egypt. Like Ramses is like, "Oh, good, you're back.
Yeah. Hey, bro,
Welcome home."
yeah, hey, dude, we've been waiting for you, and look at you. You grew a beard, and, your hair grew
Yeah.
out. So,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you got new clothes.
He's like, "What are you wearing? What
Yep.
is this?"
What is that costume? Yeah, what is that costume you're wearing? It's like, yeah,
Yeah. You're very covered up. We like a bare chest situation here.
evidently, yeah. I guess well, I guess, yeah, look,
Bare
it's got,
chest, big necklace.
and it's got to be hotter than all get out, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially, in Egypt along the Nile, but,
Hmm.
yeah, so.
Yeah. In the desert.
Mhm. Well, even like at the beginning where they show the slaves are all wearing just like loincloths and stuff. So,
Uh-huh.
of course, now they are literally busting their butts,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
to speak. So,
I mean, they're like building the freaking pyramids and sphinx and stuff.
I know, really, yeah, it's like, dude. So,
Yeah. Well, the movie was directed by a few people. I think that's pretty common for animated movies to have a few directors. One of the directors was Brenda Chapman. She was actually in directing this movie was like the first woman to direct an animated film, like an animated feature film,
really,
which is crazy.
I know. It took till 1998 to do that.
1998.
People.
And then she also was one of the directors of the movie Brave, the Disney movie Brave,
Oh
about
yeah,
the Scottish girl,
that's a
which
good one.
won the Oscar. So she's the first woman to win an Academy Award for
For
Best
an
Animated Feature in 2012.
damn.
So, but she worked on like a ton of movies. She also, in various capacities of like animation and direction, she worked on Beauty and the Beast. She worked on The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, tons of movies.
Hey,
Like,
when you're good, you're good.
yes, amazing movies. So, shout out to Brenda. Other directors were Steve Hickner. He also directed Bee Movie, the movie where Jerry Seinfeld voices
Oh,
a bee.
okay. I thought you were. He
Bee.
directed he directed B
Bzz.
movies, like not really good movies, but just so movies.
But he
So,
also he worked on a bunch of things too. Like he worked on American Tail, Five Will Goes West, We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Little Mermaid, etc. So a lot of
uh-huh.
these, it seems like these directors sort of worked their way up through animation. And then Simon Wells is the other director. He directed An American Tail, Five Will Goes West, and Balto
Oh,
about
okay.
the wolf. And again, I'm sure he worked on a bunch of different stuff. And fun fact, he is the great grandson of author H.G. Wells.
Really? Well,
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the screenplay was written by Philip Lezebnik, who wrote, again, these people just killing it. He wrote Pocahontas, Mulan, and The Road to El Dorado. And obviously, it was based on the book of Exodus. And yeah,
As
of course,
as told by
as told by God,
God. So,
um, or the various sources whose accounts put together the Bible. Shout out to Father Rossi's theology class, freshman year of college. I went to a Catholic college, so I had to take theology. Well, shall we talk about the movie?
yes.
Alrighty. So, there is a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie if you watch it that does say it is based on this book of Exodus, but it does take some license, so it's a little bit different. Uh, the first image we see is the Hebrew slaves building like the pyramids and the Sphinx, just horrible work, being like whipped and abused and all this stuff. And they're singing this song, Deliver Us, which is basically just like, please, someone come, like, God, deliver us to the promised land, right? Like, we're supposed
Mhm.
to be your chosen people. Get us out of this, is the vibe.
We're not feeling real chosen at this point.
Exactly. Uh, and, if you know the story, that that the Pharaoh is threatened by the growing numbers of Hebrew people. And so he's like, kill all the babies, all the like Hebrew babies. And Moses' mom, Yochebed, along with his siblings, he has a sister named Miriam and a brother Aaron. They, uh, during as kind of part of the song, put him in a little basket and send him down the river to, just sort of praying to God that he'll be delivered to safety. And then one day come back and deliver them to the promised land. So it is a little harrowing journey for baby Moses on the river. There's like alligators and hippos, and he almost gets swept up in a fishing net. And
I know I was sitting there when I was watching this, I thought, well, I didn't realize he was going to have like such a, a tough time. I thought he was just floating down the river, and then he ends up, on the banks or something. But yeah,
right.
there's
I thought it was a sort of
crocky
like,
gators and
yeah,
hungry hippos and
I thought it would be like, like water parks, they have like the lazy river. It was
exactly,
like
yeah,
that, you just float in an inner tube.
right, yeah. You just sort of meander down the waterway, I
Yeah,
didn't,
but
yeah,
not so, not so. But he does make it. He washes up at the Pharaoh's palace, and this is one of the places where things deviate a little bit. In the Bible, it's the Pharaoh's daughter finds him,
right,
and then he's raised as part of the household. But in this movie, the Pharaoh's wife finds him, and she raises him as like their second son. So they have Pharaoh. The Pharaoh is called Pharaoh Seti, who we haven't met yet, but he's voiced by Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart, I think the two things that come to mind for me are Jean-Luc Picard on Star Trek and Professor Xavier in X-Men. Certainly he's been in other things. He's done a lot of theater and like Shakespeare,
mhm.
but like
Yeah,
Star Trek and X-Men are, if you don't know who he is from those things, you'd probably just don't know who he is. The Queen is named Queen Tuya. She is voiced by Helen Mirren. That's another person, like, she's an incredibly famous actor. She also did a lot of Shakespeare, but she's played Queen Elizabeth. She was in the movie Red. She's been in some of the Fast and Furious movies. She has played, well, she's played actually both Queen Elizabeths, Queen Elizabeth First and Queen Elizabeth Second. She was in The Tempest, Hitchcock, The Madness of King George, Gosford Park.
and
She's
one of
on the
my
show
favorites.
1923.
Oh yeah, so it's hard. One of my favorites, Excalibur, along with
Yes.
Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go. But yeah, so she's the voice of the queen. So they find Moses in the basket. He is going to be raised as a prince. He's sort of the Prince Harry of this arrangement because they already have a son, Ramses, who is he's the heir. And also his sister Miriam does see that he was picked up by the Pharaoh's
oh,
wife. So she's like, okay, good, he's safe.
can I? So
Hmm.
he went through. So Moses went through all this big stuff in the reed basket floating in the
Hmm.
river. How did Miriam get there as quickly as that? After he was like going through the crocodiles and the hippos, and
That's true. Maybe him being swept up by the
I
fishing net, like that
maybe
delay.
delayed him a little bit. I don't. I
Yeah,
just wondered about
that's a
that.
good question. I forgot that that part happened, that she was there. I was like,
Yeah,
how
like
far? Y'all just live right outside the palace, huh?
I know it's like, oh, we're just here, and I
Because
was thinking, well,
later, too, when we see them, I'm like, you guys just live like right outside the door?
not very far away, evidently. So,
No. So yeah, Moses and Ramesses are basically raised as brothers, and we sort of flash forward to them as young men, I guess young adults. They're racing chariots. and causing all sorts of havoc. Essentially, like, there's all these sort of work sites where the slaves are building Sphinx and stuff, and Moses, in a moment of levity, he knocks the nose off the Sphinx, which is always like, you know, the Sphinx now doesn't have a nose, so there's
Right.
always in
So,
movies.
well, now you know how it happened. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And
I
then
wrote
him and
down that they were
Ramses.
typical
Go
teenagers hot rodding around in their chariot. So,
basically, because then they end up knocking over this whole wall that was like holding back all this sand, and there's like an avalanche of sand comes down, and their dad is lectures them basically,
well, I like how
and
they
it
say, you don't think we're going to get in trouble for this? Nah, you know.
and then they do, uh, and it does. I do feel a little bit bad for Ramses because clearly like Moses is the troublemaker, but like Ramses basically he's the one who like has the responsibility. He knows he's like gonna be Pharaoh, so he has to sort of like have a higher standard than Moses. So it is very like the heir, the spare
Yeah.
arrangement.
But don't
Um,
you get the feeling that, yeah, that Moses is like the instigator in a lot of this and sort of
yes.
goads him in? And not that he has to fall for it, but it's always like he's like poking him, like, oh, we can do this or let's do this. And
Yeah. Yeah. I
Ramses
feel
says,
like that's
oh,
a little
okay.
brother situation. Is that
Yeah.
a I feel like that's like I hear stories of like my dad and my uncle, and like my dad was the oldest, so like he got held responsible. Is this
Yeah.
a dynamic you're familiar with in your
Yeah. From with my younger brother. Yeah. So it was
mm,
always, it was always like, oh, you should know better. You're the
hmm
older brother, and it's like, well, okay, whatever. So,
Yeah, yeah. I will also pause here to say Moses is voiced by Val Kilmer, the late great Val Kilmer. You probably know him from things like Tombstone, where he played Doc Holliday, Top Gun, where he played Iceman, Batman Forever, where he played Batman slash Bruce Wayne. Those are the kind of the main ones. Oh, and he played Jim Morrison in the Doors
oh, it's,
movie.
and he
Those
was
are
in The
kind of
Saint, which was actually not a bad movie. And a lot of people, I think, panned it, but I liked him. And he was really good in Heat.
mm, yes, yes. I
That's one
was
of the that's one
reading
of the
like
bank robbers.
yes, I was reading his like reflection recently on like being in Heat, and he's like, I'm in a movie with like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, and like I get to call them like Bob and Al. Like I know them now. Like
Yeah.
this is amazing. Like whatever you want me to do, like this is amazing. So Val Kilmer, and then Ramses is voiced, if you somehow can't tell when you're watching this, by Ray Fiennes, who he's Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies. He's M in the Daniel Craig Bond movies. He's been in a million other things like Schindler's List and
I thought for sure you were going to say "He Who Shall Not Be Named."
no, fear of the name only increases fear of the thing itself. Oh,
Oh,
The English
okay.
Patient. That was the other one I was thinking of. The English Patient. He's in Made in Manhattan, in Bruges. Most recently, he was in Conclave. He was nominated for an Oscar for it.
Which
I
you
highly
enjoyed, you
recommend.
said. Yeah, you
Love
said it was really
Conclave.
good.
I'm on a religious movie kick, I guess. And he's been in some Wes Anderson movies. He was in the Grand Budapest Hotel. He was in the movie The Menu. Uh, lots of things.
He
So
was in
great
The
finds.
Kingsman too, wasn't he? With the one that went back to when they started, The Kingsman.
Yes, he was the King's Man. He also is very funny. So he'll occasionally go on Watch What Happens Live, which is the Bravo TV like late night show.
Oh, okay.
And they do something on that show called Clubhouse Playhouse, where like whenever they have like famous real actors come on the show, Andy Cohen has them like reenact scenes from Real Housewives. And so he did one that was like really good. Like there was a scene from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City where this one housewife was like, it was like a hot mic moment. Like she was behind a door, like ranting about one of the other women. And he performed that as if it was like a Shakespearean monologue. And it was so funny. If
I
you
bet
need
it
to
was
laugh,
brilliant.
people, Google Rafe Fiennes. Rafe is spelled like Ralph. Lisa Barlow, because he's doing Lisa Barlow's monologue, and it's so funny. It's so funny. Anyways, Moses and Ramses sort of get the riot act read to them. It is very like late teens, early 20s, but in ancient Egypt. They then have to go to a banquet, but they're late to that too because they're messing
And
around.
whose fault was that?
It was Moses's
Moses.
fault. And he like makes it like Ramses' fault. He's like, "Oh, don't you have a banquet to go to?" And they're like, "Oh God." And of course they go, they're late, and Ramses has just been named Prince Regent, which I guess means like you're kind of getting ready to take over. And he gets to start taking on more responsibility. And the priests there are going to offer him a gift because now he has this higher station. He's responsible for overseeing all the temples. So these two priests that we always see throughout the movie, their names are Hotep and Hoy. There's one that's like tall and skinny and one that's like short and fat. I can't remember which one is which, but they're voiced by Steve Martin and Martin Short. So Martin Short is the tall, skinny one who is Hoy, and the short, fat one is Hotep. He's voiced by Steve Martin. Um, Again, these are people you should know. Steve Martin, we met already in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He's in that. He's in Father of the Bride, Only Murders in the Building. He's been a comedian for a million years. The Jerk. He's also in It's Complicated, et cetera, et cetera. Martin Short, also a comedian for many, many years. He was also in Father of the Bride. He's also on Only Murders in the Building. He was in a movie I liked as a kid called A Simple Wish. He was in the movie Clifford, where he plays an annoying child. Lots and lots of things.
And
So,
they were in Three Amigos together with Chevy
yes,
Chase.
yes,
So
also true. So, they present him with a gift of this woman that they've like kidnapped, essentially, who we eventually learn is Zipporah. She's voiced by Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer has been in a lot of things: Scarface, Grease 2, Witches of Eastwick, Batman
Bruno Mars
Returns as
songs.
Catwoman. What?
Bruno Mars song.
Yes. Bruno Mars song. White Oleander. I think she's in The Age of Innocence. Lots and lots of things. Um, she Hairspray also
Oh yeah.
is Velma von Tussle.
Hmm.
So yeah, basically they're trying to give this woman to Ramses, and he's like, "Oh no, give her to Moses." He names Moses the chief architect, and he's like, "Moses can have her," and she's like, no one can just have me. I'm a person. You can't give me to someone else." They have her tied up, and she basically like starts fighting, and Moses kind of embarrasses her because he's pulling on the rope, and she's like, let go," and it's that thing where
Right.
she's pulling against it and he lets go and she falls into this little pond in the middle of the room and everyone laughs. And she's upset, but you can tell Moses feels kind of bad. Also because his mom is like, tisk tisk at him.
Yes.
So he's like,
Yes.
oh. So she's supposed to be taken to his quarters. And when he gets back, there's a dude tied up and like I think an animal tied up also.
It's these dogs, the pharaoh
Oh
hounds.
yes.
Yeah, they're wrapped up like mummies.
Yes. And she's made like a sheet rope to get out the window. The sheet rope we always see in movies when people are trying to sneak out. So she has escaped. Basically, he helps her escape. There's guards walking around and he sends them to his room so that she can get by. And he sort of follows her and like watches her get away safely. And we see that the last place she stopped was at this little house, and people give her some water before her journey. And then they see Moses, and it turns out it's Miriam and Aaron, so Moses' sister and brother. And he does not recognize them at all, but they recognize him. And Miriam is like, "Oh my God, you're our brother." And he's like, "What are you talking about, lady?"
Well, he calls her
He
slave.
calls her a slave, yes.
Yes.
He's like, "Who do you think you're talking to? I am a prince. You are a slave. What are you thinking?" And Aaron's like, "Miriam, chill out. Miriam, chill out." And Miriam's like, "No, you're my brother, Moses. We put you in a basket and sent you down. Why don't you ask that man you're calling your father to tell you the truth about how you ended up here?"
Right.
And he's really pissed. But he's eventually leaving, and then she sort of sings a little bit of what their mother had sang when she put him in the basket. And he recognizes it. And he is, as the kids would say, shook. He's like, oh my God.
Is that what the kids say? Shook?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't know that.
He's he's gagged. Like, oh my God. Like, what is happening in my life? Like, this random lady was saying crazy stuff to me, but also like, is it true? And he goes running back to the palace. He's running into people. He's a mess. And then he sings a song called All I Ever Wanted, where he's talking about like, no, like this is my home, the palace is my home, this is my family, like I fit in here, I belong here. But then he has a dream. And it's cool. The animation is cool.
This is
Think
very
of
good.
like, hieroglyphics and like the sort of pictures that you see Egyptian like paintings. It's basically his dream is acted out through those moving, and it illustrates what happened at the beginning with the Pharaoh ordering all the Hebrew babies to be killed and him being put in the basket and saved by his mom that way. And he sort of confronts the Pharaoh like, did you do this? And he's like, well, yeah, it's it's what I had to do. It was for the greater good. The Hebrews were growing too numerous. And then he's like, they were only slaves.
Right.
And you can see Moses is now like, he's shaking his head. He's like, I can't get behind this. Even though like 5 minutes ago he was like,
Oh yeah.
who are you talking to, slave?
Slave. Yeah. So it was like, yeah, a big change of heart.
Yeah. He is basically having like a full existential crisis, right? Like, what am I doing here? Who am I? Where am I from? And the queen is like, this is your home. Like the gods brought you here. This is your home. Like this is your family. Moses is assuming his new responsibilities with Ramses. They're going to build like new temples or whatever. We see later, actually, he builds another sphinx like next to his father's sphinx, just bigger.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's what he's starting. But
I
Moses is kind
wondered
of,
where he got the, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I wondered where he got the training to become head architect. I mean, we didn't see any of that. Like, like, oh, okay, we're going to make you chief architect. So I guess he went to architect school as a kid.
I,
So
it was, this is a Nepo baby situation. He has no qualifications. He's just
uh,
the king. He's just the prince.
gotcha. Roger that. We're going to put you
Uh,
in charge of all this and you'll learn along the way.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like draw pictures of a building that you like, and then we'll build it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
We'll
tell
figure it
them,
out.
do you tell them to build it?
Yeah.
But Moses, for the first time, is kind of looking around at how the slaves are being treated. And he sees, in particular, there's, well, at first he's like, this is bad. Ramses is just like pumped about what they're going to build. He's like, oh my God, all the sand we knocked over, actually, it's perfect. I have all these ideas. It's going to be great. Da da da. Moses is like, this is terrible. And then he sees one of the like overseer type people really wailing on like a very old man
Mhm.
who's a slave, and he goes to stop him. And they're basically, I don't, did the ancient Egyptians have scaffolding, I guess? Uh,
Every
they're,
movie I've ever seen, they do. So.
yeah, okay. They're up on sort of the highest level of this scaffolding, and Moses like tackles the guy off of it, and he falls to his death. And then Moses is like, oh God, like I just killed a guy. That always makes me think of Anchorman. Oh, Moses just killed a guy. You might want to lay low for a while. Uh, which he does. He is like, let me get out of here. And like Miriam tries to stop him. He's like, nope, I'm
Nope.
going. And then he's running, and Ramses tries to stop him. And he's like, no, I gotta go. And Ramses is like, dude, it's okay. He always says, like, I'm the morning star and the evening star. Whatever I say goes. So if I say you're innocent, then you're innocent.
Right.
And Moses is like, no, I'm not who you think I am. I need to leave. Ask our father, or ask the man that I used to call father what's going on, and he'll tell you. And he wanders off into the desert. He takes off his little Egyptian wig. He takes off all of his jewelry except for he keeps one ring, little blue one. And he gets caught in like a sandstorm. He's a palace boy. He is not meant for the wilderness.
Wait, I mean, it looks like he works out, or whatever. So he's fit anyway.
He's got like
So
show muscles, you know?
show us. I've never heard it called that before. Show
He's like
muscles.
goes to the gym, but they don't serve a practical purpose. He's just trying to like look fit in his little toga,
Okay.
in the
What?
little skirt. Because as we said, a lot of bare chests happening with the
Yeah.
Egyptians.
I,
Big necklace, bare chest.
yeah. And then
Get some like,
not wristlets, but
yeah,
armbands or something.
armbands. Yeah.
Yeah. And the headdressy things. The
Yes. So he gets buried by sand, but thankfully a camel starts like gnawing on his hair, and he's rescued, and the camel is very shocked to see him.
again, I brought it up to Lindsay before we started recording. I think that the animators the illustrators did such a great job with the animals. The animals are just, they have a lot of personality, and I love
Yes.
that. So,
That's exactly what I was going to say. They have such personality. So he's wandering in the desert and he comes upon a couple of some little girls who are being sort of harassed by these older men. And he sort of tricks them into leaving the girls alone by like, he releases their camels. And he's like, oh, are those your camels running away? So then they chase after the camels and then the girls are fine. And, but then he falls in a well because
well,
he's very weak.
he's bushed. Come on, it's
He's tired.
yeah. So and
He's used to
hot
having a chariot, people carrying him, like
well,
walking across the desert. His sandals
I
broke.
was getting ready to say he ditched his sandals, right? Because they blew out. So
Hmm.
it's not like that
These
hot
sandals are
sand.
not meant for walking.
Just saying. So
No,
not in the desert anyway.
no, definitely not. He lived a cushy life. He's just not used to this. So he falls down the well, and the girls are trying to save him. And then their older sister comes to help them. And who should their older sister be but Zipporah? And so she's like, "Oh my God, a man fell down the well, Lassie, a man fell down the well."
Well, at first she
And
doesn't believe him. She goes, "Oh, we're trying to rescue the strange man who fell down the well." She goes, "Oh, that's a good one." That's
yeah,
oh
and then
yeah.
she looks and she's like, "Oh my God, there is a man in the well." And so she starts pulling him up, but then she sees that it's Moses, and then she's like, "Oh, well, you can
Mhm.
stay in the well."
Yeah, she sort of lets go of the
Yeah.
rope.
But they do eventually help him out, and they bring him home to. They're from Midian, which this is a place in the Bible. And their father is the high priest there. His name is Jethro. Jethro is voiced by Danny Glover. Danny Glover, you might know from Lethal Weapon, probably his biggest thing, but he was in The Color Purple. He's in the Royal Tenenbaums, Dreamgirls,
Oh, was he? I didn't know he was in
Angels in the
Dreamgirls.
Outfield,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Escape from Alcatraz, Witness, the
Oh
first
yeah, he
Saw
was good.
movie.
Yeah. Hmm.
He's also really active in like labor movements, union organizing, like
Hmm.
political activism. So he's always kind of out and about doing stuff like that too. He actually got arrested here in Maryland at a protest once,
Really?
protesting against Sodexo
Good
on
for
behalf
him.
of like food service workers.
Good for him.
So
I
yeah.
always liked Danny Glover.
Mm-hmm. And he's 78. He's on the Jane Fonda plan. Protesting keeps you young, people, I guess.
There you go. It's right.
Um,
Political activism. So
yes, stay involved. But yeah, he's also been on a lot of TV things. He had recurring roles for a time on ER, for example. So,
Lonesome Dove.
mm.
He was
Oh
great
yes.
in that. Yeah. So the Deets, the scout.
Mm-hmm. He also HBO in the 80s made a TV movie about Mandela, and he played Mandela. So
Oh,
he's been in a lot of things. Lot of things. But anyways, he's Jethro, who's the high priest in Midian and Zipporah's father. And they welcome Moses because Moses is like, oh, I'm just some guy. I didn't do anything. And he's like, well, you like help my daughter escape from the palace, and then you saved my other daughters from these men. So like, actually, you've done a lot for
Yeah.
us here. So like, we're fans.
Yeah. Yeah. You're aces. So,
Yeah. And he sings a song called Through Heaven's Eyes, which is sort of about like appreciating like your worth as a man, looking at things through heaven's eyes. So through like the perspective of God, I guess, a different perspective. Eventually, you see Moses sort of becoming part of the community there, and then eventually he and Zipporah get married. And then he's just chilling, he's just living his Midian life, and he's herding some sheep. They're walking around, and he sort of goes into this little like cave, and there's a burning bush in there. And I will just say the animation on the burning bush looks really cool because it looks like the type of bush that would grow there. It's like laurel or like eucalyptus, like that, a desert dwelling plant. And but the flames look really like they don't look like normal flames. They look like sort of like magical flames, which I guess if this is God talking to you, it might look a little, magical. I will also say here too that this movie was made with a combination of traditional like hand-drawn animation and computer animation, which you can see in times like that, like with the
mm,
fire and then later with the sea and stuff like
yeah.
that. And so if you know the story, this part's familiar. So God is talking to him, and the voice of God is also Val Kilmer. Because I think I read they were trying to figure out kind of how to do the voice of God. And I think that they thought that it would make sense that if you are hearing God, it sounds like sort of the voice in your head, which is your voice,
Makes
you know.
sense.
So it's Val Kilmer again. He sounds different, but like
Uh,
it is still
it-
noticeably Val Kilmer.
yeah, it's a little maybe deeper or a little
Mm-hmm.
more resonant, or maybe they, played around with the modulation a little bit, but sort of, um,
Yeah, or like layered it a little bit or something.
could have been, yeah, could have
But
been that.
God talks to him. He's like, the Hebrew people are my people. I want you to release them from slavery and lead them to the promised land. Well, God is like, I want my people released from slavery and led to the promised land, and I am sending you, Moses, to do that. And Moses is like, me? I don't know. And God's like, I got you. I'm gonna tell you what to say. Just like follow my lead. And Moses still has doubts, and God is basically like, who are you to doubt me? I am God, the God.
Hmm.
And Moses is like, okay, okay, cool, yep, I hear
Right.
you. And he imbues Moses' staff with power so that he can like show the power of God. And then he goes back and he tells Zipporah, and we just see them in like silhouette in this scene, and she's like, what?
You, you talk to who?
Did you hit your head, Moses?
Yeah, did you? Yeah,
Um,
really? Yeah, did you
do
fall
you
down
need some
again?
water? Do you need some water? But he talks more about it and he speaks very passionately and he's like, look at your people here. They are free. I want that for my people too. And so she's like, okay, good point. I'll come with you. So they take off on their camel and they go back to Egypt to the palace and they greet Ramesses, who is now the pharaoh. And Ramesses is like, oh my God, Moses, long time no see.
Dude.
Oh, you've done something different with your hair and your outfit. What's
Yeah,
this?
yeah. Because
And
now Ramses is, yeah, the head honcho. He's,
yes, he's up on the big chair.
yeah. So horse
He's
said
got
he
the little
must have,
staff.
yeah, must have, kicked the bucket. So
Yeah, yeah. He also has a little son who has his little side pony that he used
I,
to have.
I know the, whatever they call that.
It's almost like a little Padawan ponytail from
Sort of,
Star
but it's
Wars.
off to the side, sort of, kind
Yeah,
of. Yeah.
it's like the head is shaved besides that like little ponytail.
So
Uh,
I might
and the
cultivate that look.
Yeah, see what you could do. The priests, Hoy and Hotep, say that Moses should be killed for having killed the Egyptian guard. And Ramses once again is like, no, 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 no. I'm his, like, he's my brother. I'm the Pharaoh. He's pardoned for anything and everything. Like, all good. And Moses is like, you know that we're not, like, really brothers, right? Like, I'm a Hebrew. Like, all those people you have out there,
Yeah, that's my guys.
I'm with them. Those people
Yeah,
that you have working in horrible working conditions, you're like torturing and beating and stuff.
right.
Those are my people. And also, you should let them go. You know who said that? God. God said you should let them go, and I am here telling you. And
Right.
Ramses is like, oh, oh, God said it? Ooh. And Moses is like, behold the power of God. And his staff turns into a snake. And Ramses is like, cool trick. Like my guys can do that too. But it's a whole production for the
Yeah.
priests to do it. They got to close all the blinds and shine some spotlights. They sing a song called Playing with the Big Boys. And they're like, "Oh, you want to do some magic? We can do some magic." And they like produce some snakes, but it's clearly like it's like fake, right? Because they got like smoke and mirrors and stuff, and then they like just pull out some snakes. Uh, and so the snake staff thing didn't really land, unfortunately.
Well, Moses' snake eats the other two.
It does, yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
that's yeah, and that's like, oh, okay.
Ugh.
Yeah, that didn't go over well.
Not how we planned for that to end. So,
Right,
but
exactly.
Moses does get like a private audience with Ramses, and he is once again pleading with him to just let them go. And Ramses is like, "No, I'm not going to do that. Like this is tradition. This is how it is. I'm not doing this." Moses goes and he's out talking to the slaves and he talks to Miriam and Aaron's mad at him
Yeah.
because he's like, "You've actually like made it worse. So
Oh well,
thanks."
yeah, because Ramsey says, oh, I'm going to double their output. They got to
Yeah.
work twice as hard, and gee, thanks.
Yeah. So Aaron is upset and Miriam's like, "Moses, I knew you would come back to free us." And Aaron's like, "He's not freeing us."
So far, he's failed miserably.
Yeah. Big
Aaron's
old
not a
goose egg.
fan. And
No.
yeah,
Also, Aaron is voiced by Jeff Goldblum, who you know from Jurassic Park, Independence Day, The Fly, Thor Ragnarok, various
real
other.
brilliant in that.
Yes.
Who might
I
also be
think
the
just
only
like his
Jewish person
general
in this
like
movie.
yeah, I think so actually. Um I think Jeff Goldblum also is just known for his like general like vibe. Miriam is voiced by Sandra Bullock, another person who's in a million things. Again, we said this voice cast is full of heavy hitters.
Oh
She's
yeah,
in Speed, Hope Floats, While You Were Sleeping, Miss Congeniality, and Miss Congeniality 2, The Heat, The Blind Side, Ocean's
Gravity.
8, Gravity. So many things.
Hmm.
So many great things. Practical Magic. So Sandra Bullock and Jeff Goldblum. What siblings to have? Anyways, people start to follow Moses. Like, I think Miriam is like encouraging some faith in Moses, and
Hmm.
people, the other Hebrews are like, okay, okay, maybe we can follow him, and they kind of start to follow him. And Ramses, he's like, let my people go, and Ramses, it's like he's busy, and he just like looks at him and is like, anyways, and then just like gets back to what he was doing. Like Ramses is not taking this seriously. But oh, this is when Ramses is on the boat. He's on the little boat on the Nile.
Yeah,
Which is like that classic sort of like Egyptian boat. Like it's in
the
Cleopatra, like the
the
same.
barge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And with his son and the priests and stuff. And Moses and the Hebrews had walked up to the bank of the river. And he's sending his guards, he's like, just get rid of him, please. Like to go out, like they get in the water to go after Moses. And then God tells Moses, like, use your staff, and he puts it in the water, and this is the first plague. Again, if you're familiar with the Bible, there are 10. So this is the first one. He turns the water into blood, and the guards are like, ah, gross, like it's blood. Ah. And Ramses is like, how do you do that? And the priests like turn a bowl of water red, and he's like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, it's just magic, it's just fake.
Yeah.
And then Moses tells the Hebrews, he's like, keep faith, like that's what we have. And then the rest of the plagues come in a sort of montage set to a song called The Plagues.
Real
Uh,
snappy tune. I give
yes,
it.
and
I give it a 7.
yes, yes. I will also say Hans Zimmer does the score, so it is a good
Oh, oh, yeah.
a good
Okay,
score throughout the
that makes
movie.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It does, you get the
yeah.
swells and all that. But the plagues, again, if you don't know them, there's frogs, there's lice, there's the pestilence of the livestock, there's locusts, there's boils, there's hailfire raining down.
Oh, you forgot flies.
Oh, flies,
Yeah,
yes.
can't forget the flies.
Can't forget the flies. Lots of flying insects. It
I
it, it
know.
feels a little
Locust.
repetitive.
I know it's
We
like
got locusts, we got flies, and we got lice.
and we
It
got
does feel
lice.
a little bit
You kind of feel
repetitive.
bad for them, and the
You do.
frogs, like the animals are
Yes.
suffering.
Right.
The
The pestil like the all the cows start dying
all
and
the
then
livestock. It's
yeah.
whatever else the camels and
Mm-hmm.
whatever else they have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the darkness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because his son comes and he's like, Dad, it won't stop being dark.
Yeah, why is it so
Uh,
dark? So
so Moses goes to speak to Ramses again because Ramses all throughout this will not relent. Moses goes to talk to him, and they do have like a real moment. They're like reminiscing about their childhood exploits. And it's funny because they're talking about mischief, and they're like, yeah, Ramses is like, yeah, Moses, you did that. It
yeah,
was you.
he goes,
They were
I
like
don't remember that.
switching the gods' heads on statues. And one of them was the hippo one, like from Moon Knight.
Which Lindsay and I love, by the way.
Tawet. Is that her name?
I believe it was, yeah.
I
So
always forget her name. We get a lot of Egyptian gods name dropped here because the priests are always like by the power of Ra.
right, and
And in that,
Osiris and
yeah, in that Play with the Big Boys song, they name a bunch of them.
yeah,
Taweret is her name.
to wear it.
Taweret.
Okay, you were
Close.
close. You were
I
yeah,
was
you were
close.
right there. So
So Moses, this is also when the sun comes and he's like, it's dark. It's so dark. And then Moses, the sun also sees in the pictures, in the like hieroglyphs, the story of like how they killed the Hebrews. And he's even a little bit like, ooh. And then he's like, wait, isn't this guy a Hebrew? What is he doing here? And Moses is again pleading with Ramses to just let my people go. Because he's basically like, if you don't let my people go, like, I have one more, like, big one. And it's
hmm
going to be bad.
yeah,
And it's going to be on you.
he said he goes, all this will end if you just let my people go. Just give us permission to leave.
And Ramses is like, no. He's like, I should have done what our father did and, like, kill all you people and blah, blah, blah. And Moses is like, okay, you're bringing this on yourself. And, like, you can tell he's, like, reluctant. But he's like, all right.
And you mentioned this before. This is where he becomes upset a little bit too,
Mhm.
because he knows that if he does this one, this is going to be the bad one. This is going to
Yeah.
be this is going to be really really bad. It ain't just frogs and flies, people. So
Right. You thought the boils were bad.
yeah,
Like, this is really bad. And like, I don't want to do this. Please don't make me do this.
right.
But Ramses is like, mm-mm-mm. You're going to have to do it. So Moses tells the Hebrews to put lamb's blood on their doors because God is going to kill all the firstborns, but will pass over homes that have the lamb's blood on their door. Hence the name of the holiday, Passover. This I thought was another, it's a very sad thing, but it's a
Mm,
cool animation moment because
very
like
much.
the plague is like illustrated as this like sort of like white smoky, like ghosty light that's sort of like weaving through and like kind of like looking at the doors and I mean it's like a creature almost like coming at
Mhm.
them and you see it sort of sweep into the pharaoh's palace and stuff. And of course Ramses' son is killed and Moses goes to try to kind of comfort him a little bit and he sort of shakes off Moses's hand like don't touch me. And he's like you can go. You and your people can go. Moses is kind of sad,
Yeah,
but
he's very upset because
yeah.
he knows people have died, and children, it's young
Yeah.
children have died.
Yeah, and it's like not even the children didn't even do anything. Like he's like Ramses, please, and Ramses would not like relent. So he's like, well, this is what I have to do, or this is what God's gonna do. So yeah, he is upset. Miriam does comfort him, and then the Hebrews are gathering to leave, and then this is where Miriam and then Zipporah also they sing "When You Believe," which is just a great song. You can listen to this version. You can also again listen to the Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey version, which plays over the credits. But it's basically like there can be miracles when you believe. When you believe, somehow you will. It says like hope is fragile but hard to kill or something is the line. Which is really it's just like a nice like uplifting like
It is.
ballad.
It's a very good song, and it's nice in this. But yeah, as I listen to the credits, the one with Mariah Carey and Whitney, I mean, they just elevate it to another level. So, of course, with two voices like that, so
Yes. So the chorus goes, there can be miracles when you believe, though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will. You will when you believe. So it won Best Original Song at the Academy Awards. And I think well deserved. It's a good song.
it is.
And I think it, sums up the message nicely. So anyways, they're walking and they're relieved and celebratory and singing together and like there's a little bit of singing in Hebrew and some like blessings and I don't know Hebrew but I heard the word Adonai which I feel like you always hear in like blessings.
Got nothing.
And they make it to the water, they make it to the Red Sea and they kind of settle down and oh yeah, Adonai means Lord.
Oh,
So
okay.
but yeah, so they make it to the water and they're settling down and they're like, great, like cool. Like we got
Yeah.
out.
Mm-hmm. We're free. We're able to go where we want, and we're going to the promised land. And
Yeah. None of that pyramid building anymore.
really, yeah, I was getting ready to say no more slapping bricks together, or.
Yeah, in the hot, hot sun. But then, over the crest of the hill, what do we see but Ramses and his army who are coming to pursue them? And because they're the chosen people, there's a column of fire to protect them. Shout out to God. And then, but okay, it's like, but like, where are we gonna go? There's
Right.
fire on one side of us and water on the other side of us. And Moses even kind of was like, I don't know what to do.
And they all kind of look at him like, okay, what's
They're
next,
like, okay,
Moses?
you got us here. So what's
Yeah,
next?
yeah.
Um,
What's your move, buddy?
yeah. So God does talk to him again, and God's like, use the staff, like I told you. So he goes into the water. This is the Red Sea, and he puts the staff down, and it parts. Which again, this is I think a famous part of the story. This is a everybody says part like the Red Sea, like that's a common phrase now. So
Right.
this is where it's from if you somehow didn't know that. This is also a cool like animation
It's very done,
moment.
very well done.
It yeah, just the way the water parts and the sort of like wind and like
Mhm.
storminess happening. And it is kind of funny because like he does that and all the people are looking at him like, okay.
Yeah. And now what?
And yeah, and then Aaron kind of
Leads the way.
leads the way. He goes, he like looks at Moses. Obviously they're now in a better place.
Yeah.
And he goes and then everybody else follows. And so Moses is like, go, 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 go. Like hurry
Yeah.
up. and it's a very cool visual. Like you can, as you walk, they walk, you can see like silhouettes of like looks like a big shark or like a whale.
Some big fish,
To
yeah,
which I was
something.
like, is this is this accurate? I don't think there's big stuff in the Red Sea like that, but whatever.
Remember the
Also,
beginning of the movie? There was a disclaimer. They took some liberties, so
yeah,
just saying. So
the sea's also like parted, so maybe I
yeah,
don't need to
right.
harp on like zoological accuracy.
At least they didn't show mermaids. Okay, just saying.
True, true. But yeah, so it's very cool, just like as the seeing it from like because you see it from above and like all these different angles. So it looks really cool. The sea
It
parted.
does. Yeah, it's very well done.
But then the pillar of fire goes away, it recedes into the ground.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wait a minute. What? Yeah,
God,
yeah.
we are not all across.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute. Hold on here, fellas. We're not there yet. So we still got a ways to go.
If you could keep that up for like a few more minutes, please. But they don't, and the Egyptians are gonna pursue them, but they do take a moment at first because they hadn't seen the parted sea and they were like, "What is going on here?" Like you see Ramses's face, he's like, "Oh what?"
What? What?
Then they're like, "Okay, okay, okay, go kill them, kill them, kill them." Moses is like telling the rest of the Hebrews like, "Guys, hustle,
Yeah.
hustle, let's go, go,
Yeah.
go,
Let's get a
hurry
move
up."
on.
Like somebody's like the wheel of their cart breaks and he's like, "Leave it, go,
Yep.
go."
Yep. Come on.
Um, because the Egyptians are coming, and he basically, and again, this is part of the story, he lets the sea sort of come back and sweep away the Egyptians.
Right.
And the only one who survives is Ramses, who we see later, like basically cursing Moses' name. Um, but yeah, all the Hebrews have made it across. They're like happy and alive and they're hugging and stuff. Ramses is on this little rock in the sea, just like Moses.
Yeah, you can hear him, like yelling at him, and you can see Moses is like,
Yeah,
he's sorry about that, but now but he's done what God has asked him to do.
yeah.
So
And Moses says he has like a moment. He says like goodbye, brother.
yeah, yeah,
Because like, that is like his brother. They were raised together as brothers. So like you
sure.
can't not have that. So this last part is again the Book of Exodus goes on further. Which, if you want to see that, watch the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston. Uh, but you see him like leading them into the desert. He goes up Mount Sinai. He comes down with two tablets, which, if you know, you know, are the Ten Commandments.
Hmm.
So, and that's where this movie ends. So, if you want the longer version, if you want the whole Book of Exodus, watch the
Right.
Ten
Watch the
Commandments.
Ten Commandments, which
If
is
you want the whole
another.
Book of Exodus,
I
and if
think
you
it's
have
another hour and a half after this.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna say if you have 3 hours and you want the full version, do that.
knock yourself out. So,
Yeah,
which I will say, the Ten Commandments is a staple. I watch that every Easter. So
yeah,
it was something we did we did as kids in our household. Ever since they put it on TV, and now I think they do show it like every either the weekend before Easter or the weekend of Easter. I think on.
sure. I'm sure.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be on this weekend. So.
I just watched it the one time. So this I watched when I was a kid. So like this for me is like the definitive like Moses
Oh no, I
movie.
get you. It's a
Um
it's a kinder, gentler version, maybe as I described it. From the movie.
mhm.
But yeah, it tells the story, and I think it tells the story in a very, very well done way.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say my other Moses source is the show Rugrats, the
Okay,
animated like tell so one of the characters they have multiple episodes. They have a Passover episode because like one of the babies like their mom is Jewish, so they celebrate Passover. And like the Jewish
okay,
grandparents always come and will tell the baby's story, so it's like the baby's like reenacting the stories. They have a Hanukkah one too.
okay.
So those were actually like when I was a kid, like my first understanding of like Passover and Hanukkah
Passover and
were
Hanukkah.
as explained by the Rugrats. So shout out to Tommy Pickles. But yeah, so that is the Prince of Egypt. Again, it's basically a good chunk of Exodus in animated movie form, but I think it's a good one. I think that the way that they approached it was interesting. I think I was reading that they tried to do it in a way that kids could appreciate, but also adults, which is why there isn't as much humor in it as a lot of other animated films. Because, like there's a lot of like little tongue
Oh
in
yeah,
cheek things in a lot of animated movies, like Beauty and the Beast.
Hercules,
We talked about Beauty and the Beast, Hercules. But this one, it has like a moment or two, right? The knocking the nose off the Sphinx and then
the two goofy priests,
yeah.
but
Yeah. And then
even
when he like
that's a little bit, they're a little bit more serious about,
yeah. But then, like when he falls in the well and like that part, like
yeah.
that's kind of silly. But like most of it is pretty serious, which is a change from a lot of
Hmm.
animated films that are geared toward children. And I actually was reading too that like, and this happened a lot in the 90s when movies came out, they would have like a cross promotion with like McDonald's or Burger King, and they were actually going to do for this movie one with Burger King, but they were like, we can't have like a movie about like a biblical like epic and have a cross promotion with Burger King. So like they cut that.
So they were going to do like maybe action figures, or like
Yeah, like the
figures.
toys or like,
Oh yeah,
you
no,
always get like cups or whatever. I had
yeah.
I had a full set of Hercules plates from McDonald's, like that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
oh
Yeah, I mean
boy.
they were plastic, but I loved
Yeah,
them.
even still, yeah. So
I had like the full set. Hercules, the Muses, Megara, Zeus, Hades, all of them.
the whole
We'll get
nine
there
yards.
eventually. We'll get to
Oh,
Hercules at some
okay,
point. But but yeah, so this I think they tried to make it a little bit more serious because it is like,
sure. It's a serious subject.
right, it's a foundational like religious text for many religions. Like all
Yeah,
the Abrahamic religions, this is part of it. Like
and
Christianity,
Chris,
Judaism,
yeah.
Islam. Although in Islam, you're not supposed to depict prophets, and Moses is a prophet. So actually, I was reading that some predominantly Muslim countries like banned this movie because you're
Oh,
not supposed to depict prophets.
I
So
didn't know
even though
that.
like this is a story that like is part of their
Yeah,
faith, it's the same reason why like it's always a big controversy when people try to like draw Muhammad.
Muhammad.
You don't
Yeah.
you don't depict prophets
Okay.
in Islam. So
So
that
do
was
they also? So you could? Do they consider Jesus a prophet then as well? And
hmm
then so that they wouldn't have anything showing that would depict Jesus as a.
correct.
I gotcha. Okay. All right.
So I don't know why, but I just know that that's like I was
No,
reading
that's
that's like the
what.
tradition. So and
What?
because this tries to depict the prophet Moses, they were like, nope,
Nope. Okay.
not
So
for us.
I liked it. I thought I could see though where this would be something, especially if children. Okay, for example, someone your age, you saw it for the first time. That what's the story of Passover? What's the story about Moses? And this would introduce that in a way where it's not too over your head or whatever. But it
hmm
but I enjoyed it.
hmm
I've never seen this movie, and
Yeah, and it looked really cool
oh, I'm sure on the big
on the big
screen.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'm not a religious person. I was not a religious kid. My mom used to take me to church, but I just like did I did like the word search in the church bulletin and
Okay.
like I waited to go home.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have like a huge basis for this, but it did make it like wow, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
I could. Yeah.
someone like leading marginalized people out of their like slavery into like freedom and,
Oh, if
the
you
promised land.
the story, the beginning of the the Israeli nation, or the how their history,
Mm-hmm.
they were in bondage, in slavery for a long time. What who knows how long, and then not until Moses came that they were finally led to their freedom, and then brought to their, and even then, after this, where this movie ends, there were some trials and tribulations and so on about
There's a lot of wandering.
before they got to where they needed to be.
And the
Yeah,
golden calf that
right.
happens too.
Yeah, yeah. They melted all their gold and made an idol, golden idol, and
Mm.
started worshiping it, and that's when you know supposedly
That's
Moses came down from Mount Sinai and said, God was displeased with his people and
yes.
told
If
him,
you'll read Commandment 2,
"Thou shalt not worship,"
false
right?
idols.
Faisal,
Yeah.
or any other deity other
No
than
gods
me.
before me. I used to
Yeah.
know them all. I memorized them all in Sunday school and got a sticker for it. But
Ooh, okay. Did you have to memorize them word for word, like exactly as they're written in the Bible, or just like,
um
okay, don't kill anybody?
no, I think we did
Did
have
the
to,
do it?
yeah.
I remember it took me a long time to realize what covet meant.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah, I think I was like 11 when I memorized it, so I don't think I knew what covet meant, but
I didn't know it until
yeah.
like I was in, yeah, because we went to Bible school when I was a kid, when
Mm-hmm.
on Sundays, and then even during the summertime we would go to Bible camp. But we didn't stay overnight or anything. But we'd go for like a week, and we'd go every day. So,
Yeah. It's like
but that,
vacation Bible school.
exactly, that's yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
so
I went to Sunday school from like 11 to 13, and then I retired from,
yeah,
then I went
we
to
went.
Catholic college and I
Oh,
had to go to mass sometimes.
oh, did you? Okay,
Yeah. I had to go for theology and like
yeah.
various other like events, stuff like that. I only went when like I had to, but it was not for like Catholic mass is a whole other thing. There's a script.
I've been to one, and I've been to Catholic services for like funerals or weddings and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's a whole thing.
Too
But
long, standing, sitting, too
um,
much happening.
you know, I grew up
Not for me.
Southern Baptist, so we had our
Mhm.
own. We sang a lot. So,
I went to Presbyterian church as a kid because my mom's side of the family is Presbyterian.
okay,
The church I went to for Sunday school is a United Methodist church, and then I went to Catholic college. So my dad was raised Catholic, but he was one of the people that was raised Catholic that was like, no, thank you,
not for
as an
me,
adult.
not for me. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So, yeah, I dabbled in a few, and then I was like,
yeah.
not for me. When I was a teenager, my mom was like, "Do you think you should go to church?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And so I didn't. But
Okay. Well, I sort of fell out of grace.
just
I've been baptized.
mm,
So
I was baptized, and when I went to Sunday school, I did confirmation classes, but I hadn't been baptized, so I got baptized and confirmed like back to back,
okay,
like within
okay.
5 minutes.
Okay. We
So,
just did the baptism, where you get dunked,
mm.
So
The real one.
the real one. Yep, we had the baptism pool behind up at the front of the church, but behind the altar, and you
I
had
just got a little cross on the forehead.
we had to hold our nose, and then the preacher put dunked you because you wore a like a shirt, like an overshirt or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
like a
he
tunic
dunked.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You got dunked. So,
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the Ten Commandments just so I do remember them. So, no false idols. You shall have no other gods before me. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Honor your mother and father.
Father,
Don't murder. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. And you shall not covet. Which I think it actually says like you shall not covet your neighbor's wife or
that's
whatever.
what I thought. Yeah. Say that should not covet your neighbor's wife. So,
Yeah,
which I,
that
like
was
I
like
said,
the abridged version.
I didn't know what that meant. So, but,
Yeah. Which like I
uh,
think like most of those are
yeah,
don't lie, don't
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 steal.
steal, don't kill anybody.
Right. Don't blaspheme, don't,
Yeah.
or as Mel Brooks, for all we know, there were 15 commandments, and then in
He
his
dropped one.
story, he dropped one part of the tablet.
It
These
would be a lot.
15,
It would be a lot to
yeah,
carry. Oh my God,
10, these
they're
10
so
commandments.
heavy. They're made
Exactly.
of stone. Yeah, I think this movie, if you want a little Exodus refresher, little Passover, refresher.
I liked it, yeah. And then, like you said, it's not an overly long movie, but it gives you the
Mm.
gist of things and stuff. And then, the relationship between Ramses and Moses, and then,
Yeah.
you know,
I think that's the part that I like perhaps best about this movie is getting some of that, like the human
the dynamic, yeah,
part of
between
it.
the,
Yeah, their dynamics and then how Moses then feels about what he has to do going forward, right? I think they do a good job of like making that a real relationship so that when Moses is like enacting all these plagues, like he doesn't feel good about it.
no, and he, because he realizes it's a hardship on the people, and it's really Ramses that's, like he said, he's bringing it on himself. If he would
Yeah.
just let his vanity, go, and then,
Hmm.
but Ramses, oh no, I'm this, how'd you put, I'm the morning
I'm the
star,
morning
the
star and the evening
evening
star or something
star.
like that.
I'm I'm all that in a bag of chips. So,
Yes.
but yeah, no, it was a fun movie to watch too. Like I said, I like animated movies. I grew
Hmm.
up on cartoons as a kid, so I enjoy that, especially if they're well done, which this one was.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's
But
still wild to me that this was actually like the first one they made, DreamWorks made, but it came out second. The movie Ants, ANTZ, came out before this. But this was like one of the first things their studio did.
okay,
And
um,
just think of where they've gone since then.
the beginning. So, and
Yeah.
I got to admit, it holds up well, don't you think?
Hmm.
Though, for 27 years
Yep.
old. I mean, when you think about it, I mean that's most of your life.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah. They've done and like, this set off a whole
oh
bunch of really
gosh,
great movies, right? Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, Boss Baby, Megamind, uh, Rise of the Guardians, How to Train Your Dragon, Madagascar, Chicken Run, Wallace and Gromit, Captain Underpants,
love Wallace and
Shark
Gromit.
Tale, the Trolls movies, the Croods,
Okay, not a big
the
fan of
Wild
the
Robot,
Croods.
which just came out. So like the Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, which I think is a lot better than that's probably not as well known, but it's very. And you're right. The style of animation to me, yeah, is very similar, and you can see why,
Hmm.
because it came out of
Hmm.
the same studio as this.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
the expressions on the characters, because I did like that movie, The Road to El Dorado.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
same.
but
But yeah, you can definitely see the overlap and the
by
yeah.
the way, I think there's a new Wallace and Gromit movie coming out,
I think I have seen that or like it just came out.
or it just came out, maybe. So, but
Yeah, because I think
yeah,
it might have just came out because I think it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Film. It did not win, but a movie about a cat won called Flow that I haven't
okay.
watched yet. But oh, also they made a prequel to this movie, the same studio. I think it might have been like direct to video, but it's called Joseph King of Dreams. So it's about
Oh,
Joseph of the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
the coat of many colors.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, I guess if in the musical it's Joseph in the Technicolor
Take a
Dreamcoat,
dream
but
coat.
in the
Who
Bible it says
the yeah who voices Joseph? Do you know?
Ben Affleck
Whoa,
and Mark Hamill is Judah.
really?
Yeah. I've never watched this. I didn't even know
I
honestly it
didn't.
was a thing.
I was gonna say I didn't even know it existed. So you think it was direct to video though?
It was,
It
yes.
was.
Confirmed. Yeah, so this is kind of the prequel. So
Okay.
because the Joseph story's in Genesis, so
Right. So then we go
Genesis
to
Exodus. But yeah, uh Jodie Benson, who's she's the voice of Ariel. She's a voice in this. Judith Light is a voice in this.
okay.
So,
Cool.
couple.
Might have to search that one out.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it might also be on. I watched Prince of Egypt on Peacock. I think this is also on Peacock. So,
I rented
but
it, so I don't know because I don't have Peacock, so I
yeah,
didn't know.
you
Yeah.
can probably if it seems like it's streaming, so you can
Okay.
maybe rent it. So we'll see. Although it makes me I would be sad. I like Any Dream Will Do from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor
Oh,
Dreamcoat.
okay.
So it make me sad if that's not in it. My cousin played Joseph in that musical like 3 times, so
Oh, okay. So
um
so you're very
it's
familiar
I'm familiar. Yeah.
the lyrics.
Anyways, so if you haven't seen The Prince of Egypt, I recommend it. It's only like an hour and a half. And it's a good movie. Like it's an enjoyable film.
Mhm.
Honestly, even if you have like no familiarity with Moses, like the story from the Bible, the Torah, whatever your religious text is, I think it's still like a interesting movie.
Yeah.
Either way, right? It's like a person who learns like a person in power who learns they're actually a member of like a the marginalized group and they have to sort of take steps to stand up for them. So it's an interesting story regardless. The music is good. I think check out the soundtrack, especially again, Whitney and Mariah, When You Believe. You can also see I think like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande performed it. A
Oh,
few other
really?
like
Oh,
people have
okay.
covered it like at
Okay.
various performances. So,
Nice.
you can look those up too. I'm going to be partial to the Whitney and Mariah version
Well, it's
because
the
like
original. It's the
it's the
OG.
original and it's like it's Whitney and Mariah.
Got it.
So
Got it.
check that out. I hope that everyone who celebrated Passover had a happy one. And I hope that everyone who celebrates Easter, this is coming up after Easter, but if you celebrate Easter, I hope you had a happy one. And if you celebrate none of them, I hope that spring is treating you well and the pollen is not kicking your butt like it is mine.
Exactly. So ditto. So
Well, anything else you want to add, Jim, about the Prince of Egypt before we wrap up?
like you said, I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think you don't look at it as a kids movie. Really,
Hmm.
it's just it's a fun movie, and it's an entertaining and an educational movie. If you like you said, if you don't know that story, then by all means, it's a good way to get introduced to it. But
Hmm.
even if you do, and if you don't like the Sturm and Drang of the Ten Commandments, where it plays out over 3.5 hours, um, watch this one instead. So. Plus, you don't get to, hear Edward G. Robinson, talking like a gangster when he talks as an overseer.
In
And
this one, you get to hear the lovely tones of Val Kilmer, Rafe
yeah,
Fiennes, Patrick Stewart, Sandra Bullock,
Helen
Jeff
Mirren,
Goldblum, Helen Mirren, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny Glover. I
Steve
mean,
Martin, Martin
Steve
Short,
Martin and Martin Short. Yes.
who I did not know that's who they were until you said it. I didn't know that's who played
Yes.
the
The
priest.
priests. Yeah.
So
I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't, like, I read that it was them and then I watched it and I was like, oh. So, like, if you were to watch it again, you'd be like, oh, of
yeah,
course that's
I was gonna
them.
say if I when I do watch it, not if, but when I do watch it again, now say, oh, okay, now I know, yes, but because
Yeah.
I didn't know because I didn't look at all the voice credits, so I
Hmm.
just
But yeah, star-studded cast here.
yeah, yeah, good stuff, and
It's a
really
good
really
one.
good first class animation.
Yes, yes, it's visually nice.
Hmm.
Um, Excellent score from Hans Zimmer. So I think it's really firing on all cylinders here.
Agreed. Good pick. Good selection.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for listening. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this so you can get our episodes delivered to you every Monday when they come out. You can also leave a rating, review, comment. Hopefully, it's a nice one, or else we will be forced to send various plagues your way. We're starting with locusts.
Watch for the frogs. So,
Is that water turning red?
oh, oh, is there a lot of flies around here?
Are you getting sort of itchy? Please follow us on Instagram at Some of Our Parts Pod. You can see all the movies that we talked about before, little previews of what's to come, and whatever else we decide to share. For example, I just read news that a Clueless television series is being developed starring Alicia Silverstone. That'll be, I believe, coming to Peacock. So,
OMG.
exactly. See, these are we report the important news here. Follow us on Instagram to see it. And with that, bye bye.
Take care.